Welcome to the Her Story Circle podcast, the podcast that brings you the extraordinary tales of everyday women who are changing the world. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and I'd like to acknowledge traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. I also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging. Every week, we dive into the lives, challenges, and triumphs of women from all four corners of the globe. We're here to inspire, enlighten, and connect, sharing stories that uplift and empower. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and join us as we explore the incredible journeys of women shaping our future. This is Her Story, where every woman's voice matters. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Her Story Circle. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating young woman. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, and share your story with us today.
Hi, everyone. I'm Caitlyn Wells, and I'm based in Georgia in the U.S. I come from a family with two siblings, an older brother and a younger sister, and we grew up in Georgia. And so we grew up on a lot of land and playing outside and spending a lot of time just together, and really our family's pretty tight-knit across all cousins, aunts, uncles, things like that. I grew up in a family of small business owners. I had multiple uncles, my grandfather, other family members who all ran their own businesses. And so I grew up seeing both the challenges and the reward of venturing into building something on your own. I also come from a family of educators. And so I have multiple family members, including my dad, who were teachers in the public school system. And so I got to learn and see the impact they could have through supporting and helping so many people in their education journey, and also learning a lot about how you can take what can be a complicated concept and teach it to a variety of people in a variety of ways, depending on their learning styles. And all of this has kind of transformed into a little bit of what I do today. So growing up, I experienced that. And then in college, I was involved in a lot of different communities, both kind of service-based organizations and doing things like photography and stuff like that. And I studied digital marketing. When I first graduated college and worked in a marketing agency, I started to really see where I shined in the tech and operations realm. And so in 2020, I ventured out on my own to run my business. And through running Upwell Strategies, I've gotten to really take the experiences from my childhood of the importance of family and strong relationships, the importance of really putting in hard work for something you believe in and are passionate for, and seeing how you can explain things and teach things to people in a variety of ways based on their learning styles. And I'm able to take all of those experiences and all of that knowledge and really piece it all together to help business owners, particularly small to medium-sized businesses, with implementing what can feel a little overwhelming into their business. So that's their operations, so all of their different tech systems and processes and things, and that can sometimes just really feel overwhelming for people. And so taking all those experiences that I was raised with has helped me to be able to really take each person's unique working style into account and really serve them well. So growing up, I come in from a family with my two parents and then three kids. I was the middle child, but not a normal middle child. My older brother is only 2 years older than me, but my younger sister is 6 years younger. So there was a pretty significant age gap there, which made it where the sibling dynamic was more so that older sister, kind of like the babysitter to my younger sister. So growing up, me and my brother were fairly close, and me and my sister kind of had that type of dynamic. Growing up, we were always really big on spending time together as a family. We did a lot of hiking and camping and a lot of things within the community. The family I was born into was a fifth generation family of a small town. So my great grandparents had also been in that town and been very involved. And so, with it being a multi generational situation, of very involved families in every generation, there was also a lot of pressure because everyone in the community pretty much knew who the Tam family was. And so, growing up, you kind of felt like all eyes were on you. It didn't help that my dad was also the middle school principal. So, growing up, you often felt like you needed to excel and exceed. This led to all three of us, my brother, me, and my sister, doing very well in school, being very involved in community initiatives, different organizations, and in sports. And then all three of us choosing to pursue college after graduating high school.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us today. What is interesting is how you came up with this business, Upwell Strategies. Can you tell us how your vision for the agency has evolved over time?
Yeah, definitely. So when I first started my own business, it was actually called Little River Creative Co. And I pulled that idea from a place where we would go camping every year as a family up in Townsend, Tennessee. There's a river called the Little River. And it was always just a very peaceful place. I loved going there as a kid playing, but also even into adulthood going. It always was kind of a place that felt like a second home, and was full of really good memories. So we started there with my business name being that. And I actually first started out offering marketing services, so setting up funnels, doing sales pages, things like that. But I very quickly realized I was helping a lot of people with their processes and automations as well. And so as I started doing more and more of kind of the tech side of things and the processes, I felt like Little River Creative Co. and it being kind of centered around being creative didn't necessarily reflect that very well. So I went through the process of trying to figure out, well, what will we call this now? And my last name is Wells. So I took a play on that and did the word Upwell because we're always striving to improve and go up. And so that's how we came up with Upwell Strategies. Now, regardless of the name, whether it was when it was Little River Creative and now as Upwell, my big focus when first starting was to always make sure that no matter how big we get, everyone we work with, everyone we interact with, everyone who works with us always feels valued and like we see the whole person. I always want people to feel like they're not just another number or another metric on a spreadsheet, but that they really feel like they are worth our time and that they're there. I want them to feel like they're like our only client.
So it's a very hands-on and personalized approach that you use, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
That's fantastic. What does purposeful operations mean to you? And how does it shape the way that you approach building systems, business systems for your clients?
I want systems that can help take you out of the day to day if and when needed, but doesn't force you to feel like you're stuck in a box. So, when we do purposeful operations and purposeful systems, we're setting them up with the intent that they can work for you as you continue to grow. I don't want to build something for you that only works in your current state. I want it to work 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road as you continue to grow and scale your business. We also want to make sure that they're set up in a way where you can be in the day-to-day growing and running your business because you are the business owner, but if something happens, whether you want to take a vacation or you have a medical emergency or anything like that, that your systems are set up in a way where you can easily step out when needed. From growing up with a family of entrepreneurs and then also marrying into one where my father-in-law was also an entrepreneur, I saw firsthand how important it is to have a team that feels empowered in their role and to help step in when needed, but also how important it is to have systems in place to support that. And so, from witnessing different family members having unexpected things happen where they need to be out of work for weeks or months, I can see both the exciting side when you have something like maternity leave and the scary side when you have like a car accident or a heart attack, as to why it's really important to create those purposeful operations so that this business that you've poured so much into building doesn't crumble whenever life happens.
Yeah, and life does happen, and not many people are prepared for that.
Yeah.
It's just fantastic. So, how do you tailor your solutions to match the unique needs and working styles of each client? And can you share an example of a particularly innovative solution?
So I never want someone to feel like they're being forced into working any one certain way. So we have different types of businesses, different types of clients come to us, and we want to make sure that the systems and the way that things need to be done for them to have the metrics they need or the type of client experience they're creating for their business or whatever it is, that it's set up in a way that works for them, because ultimately it's kind of a top-down approach. If you find that the business owner isn't following the systems, then a lot of the team members aren't going to follow it either. So we get really creative with doing multiple demos of different tech options, doing really thorough research to make sure we're finding something that not only meets the capabilities you need, but also has the user interface that you feel comfortable using. And then getting creative with something as simple as just using Google Drive when needed, if that's where someone really feels at home. So for example, we had one client recently who she had a couple of team members. She was really struggling with, starting to use some online systems like that because she was used to it being just her, kind of a solopreneur type of thing. So she was used to her sticky notes on her desk and all of that, was having to now learn how to delegate to a remote team and for them to know what she needed them to do and what she was doing and updates and things like that. And even after trying multiple project management tools and doing the demos and the user interfaces, they all still felt she felt very resistant to using them, and she wasn't super tech savvy. So where she really felt at home was in a Google Doc. She was a copywriter. She uses Google Docs all the time. So we created a system, and luckily Google has a feature where you can tag people easily and create checklists and things like that. So we created her own system for project management and delegation within Google Docs because that was what she felt comfortable in. And so then it made it easier for her to then be able to actually utilize the team that she had built.
With all of the work that you've done, what are the most common operational challenges that you see in businesses, and how does Upwell Strategies address them?
I would say there are two really common ones. One is sometimes things are automated that shouldn't be or don't need to be. So you might have some things automated, and so you think that's great, but then really when you look at the process or the way that it's been mapped out, it doesn't actually create the experience or the outcome you want. And I'd say the other thing is kind of the flip side of that, people feeling stuck in doing everything manual and not realizing there are things they can automate. And so you kind of have to find this balance between having a process in place where when you've done a certain thing enough times, you've worked out the kinks of that process and it works really well, then let's identify what we can automate and what makes sense to automate, because you don't want to automate too many things and remove the personal touch where you need those personal touches and personal experiences in the experience you're creating for your team, your clients, whatever you may be doing. But you want to make sure it's a process that you've at least established and tested. You don't want to write up a new process on paper and immediately start automating stuff without seeing how it feels and kind of what that flow is.
So, Upwell Strategies emphasizes putting relationships first. How do you cultivate and maintain strong client relationships while scaling your business?
I have managed to do this so far by still kind of keeping a pulse on every client we work with. I decided from the get-go that I don't necessarily want to grow Upwell to be some super large agency. I want it to grow, but always be small enough that I can know all of our clients on a first name basis and, know about them and their life and their goals and connect with them. And so while I might have team members who are doing the majority of the work for a client, I still make it a priority to meet with and speak with every client on a regular basis.
So you're very, very hands-on still.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So how do you balance the creative and operational needs of businesses to ensure long-term growth and sustainability?
Whenever we're setting up systems and mapping out an operation strategy, we always leave room for flexibility. We're never trying to put everyone on the team at 100% capacity. We're never trying to set goals that push us too far beyond what we know we're capable of with within like our resources that we have in that time frame and things like that. We always want to leave room where there can be that creative freedom and ease to pivot and make changes as needed. And then a little bit more into the day-to-day, we also prioritize making sure that there's specific times throughout the working week or working month that are blocked off for that type of creative space for creative thinking and really just kind of getting into that type of visionary area.
As a founder, what have been the most valuable lessons that you've learned about running your own businesses and helping others to grow theirs?
Community is everything. The people you surround yourself with and the way that they can support you and cheer you on, even in challenging times, is really critical, because when you do hit those hard points, having someone who believes in you just kind of gives you that extra energy you need to keep moving forward. I'd say another one is we are way more capable than we think we are most of the time. A lot of times we doubt ourselves, or we think that we, would never be able to achieve blank, when really if we stick our minds to it and we're persistent, we can most definitely achieve whatever it is we're striving for.
So can you share a success story where your agency helped a business to significantly scale and streamline its operations?
So we had a client come to us who was starting to get pretty busy, and she was starting to hire multiple contractors to help with different client projects she had. And she came to us needing not only us to build out her operations strategy and systems, but then to support and continuing to manage it. And so we came in and helped to get all of that established, create better internal communications and clear processes for all of the team. And she was able to scale up to about 20 different contractors across her team. And we had a variety of small to large clients for her. And she was able to really grow it and meet a lot of her goals, all because we were able to take her out of working strictly through email and things getting dropped in email. So like she was managing projects through that, she was managing team through that, and really creating a system where everything could be in one place and she could easily have a pulse on everything and know and trust that her team was meeting their deadlines.
Your expertise has been featured on several popular business podcasts. What key messages do you aim to share with listeners about building successful operations?
The first key message is to just get started. We have a lot of people come to us 2 or 3 years into running a business, and they had thought about coming to us sooner, but thought that they weren't established enough, to need to set up a project management system or to need to have some sort of SOPs in place. Or they wait until they're realizing, oh no, I need to have an assistant to help me with this. And they're hiring and they realize they haven't actually written down how this assistant can do what they need them to do. And so I always tell people, start earlier than you think you need to, even if it's just as simple as recording a screen recording of you doing what you're doing for a certain task, just so that then whenever you get to a point where you're like, oh, I need someone to help me with this, because that's how it happens a lot of times in early stage small businesses, is you get busy and you realize you need help. And so now you're too busy to really put in the time you need to train someone. And so if you just start, even if it's as simple as recording just what you're doing and how you do it, then when you bring someone on, they can easily watch those to see how to do what you need them to do.
So looking ahead, what are your goals for Upwell Strategies, and how do you see your agency contributing to the success of impact-driven businesses globally?
I hope for us to start to connect with more and more impact-driven businesses this year. For a while, we were doing a lot of hands-on operations support for businesses that was like a month to month, where we were stepping in as their ops manager. And last year was the first year that we started really branching out and doing a lot more project-based stuff. So now we've been able to support and help many more businesses because of the opened capacity through that and through growing our team. And so I'm really excited because at the start of this year, we have a really solid team in place I'm excited to grow with. And I think that there's a lot we can do to help a lot of impact-driven businesses. And when we look at impact-driven, we both look at businesses that are trying to do greater good for their community and across the world. But we also look at businesses who their impact might be more so just kind of their family in their own little backyard. So a lot of mother-owned businesses and things like that. And it means the world to us when we're able to help a mom who's running an agency or a small team get the right systems in place to where she has more time to spend with her family. Or it means the world to us when we have a client that grows their business to a point where now a significant portion of profits can go towards a charity or towards a certain organization that's doing good in the world. And so we do both. We're looking for the impact across all areas of life. And so I'm just really, really excited for us to start to take on more and more businesses like that.
So, as a founder, what has been the most valuable lessons that you've learned about running your own business and helping others to grow theirs?
I'd say the most valuable lesson has been trust in yourself and have your own definition of success. Because it's
Right.
really easy, especially in a startup world or in the entrepreneurial world, to feel like you always need to be chasing more, or to get sucked into thinking you need to do things a certain way. And I always like to challenge that and to say, what is your definition of success? For some, like for the mom running a small team business, it might be to build a business that can fund her lifestyle and provide her the freedom to be with her kids, more than what a full-time job would. For others, their definition of success might be building a huge organization that's helping kids in the foster system in the US find homes. Like it could be larger scope, smaller scope, but everyone needs to kind of figure out what their definition of success is and to trust themselves in sticking to that as they pursue their goals.
What do you hope to achieve through Upwell Strategies in the long term? And what impact do you want to leave on businesses that you support and the industry as a whole?
From a legacy standpoint, I hope to build a business that leaves everyone who we ever interact with feeling loved and feeling joyful and feeling like they were well cared for, well, spoken to, or what have you. I hope that it also serves as inspiration to, I have a daughter. I hope it serves as inspiration to her that she can also pursue her dreams when she grows up into adulthood. And I really want to grow it into a way where it challenges the industry. So in the digital service-based industry, a lot of times people are kind of treated as just a number, just a sale to close. And I really want to challenge that and create, kind of a shift in trend where instead people are treated truly like people, because at the end of the day, that's who we're working with.
Yes, remembering that they're not just a number, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to end our interview with two kind of unusual questions, and they're a bit of a thought experiment.
Okay.
In the one, I'm going to teleport you into the past, and we're going to go and have a conversation with the younger you, that young woman who went into the world of business, didn't quite know what the hell she was doing, but she did it anyway. If you could go back and give yourself 3 nuggets of wisdom based on what life has taught you up until this point, what would those 3 nuggets of wisdom be?
If I were to go back and speak to my younger self when I was first starting this business, I would say 3 pieces of wisdom. Let's see. The first one would probably be trust your gut. There have been times I've started doing work in a certain direction or made a decision based off of what I thought I should do, even if my gut made me feel like I shouldn't, and then come to find out I should have trusted my gut. So I'd say that was tidbit 1. Tidbit 2 would be you're more capable than you think you are. There are many times when, as I work to grow the business, I would think to myself, like, oh, I just need to go find someone who knows how to do so and so, or I need to go hire someone who knows how to do XYZ. When really, if you just sit down and pause for a minute, you realize you actually already have all the knowledge and the skills you need to do what it is you need to do. You're just, I was just, I don't know, getting analysis paralysis or overwhelmed by the thought of having to do that. And then I'd say the third is really lean on your support system. One of my biggest rocks in this whole process has been my husband. He's cheered me on from day one and never doubted my ability to do it. And often shares how proud and impressed he is of me and the work I've done. I have various friends who have been consistent rocks and cheerleaders throughout it all. And so really leaning into and loving on that support system and letting them love on me.
The last question, I'm going to teleport you into the future this time. And we are going to go and meet the 80-year-old you. And maybe she's sitting in her rocking chair surrounded by her children and grandchildren. If you could go and meet this wise woman who has led you up until this point, what will you say to her when you finally meet her? And I'll tell you the reason why I love asking women this question is because a lot of women don't realize that the wise woman is already in us. We sometimes look outside of ourselves for answers, for solutions, and we forget to trust that gut, that little voice that says, go yes, go no, go left, go right. So what will you say to your wise woman when you finally meet her at the age of 80?
Whenever I was to meet that wise woman, if I were to say something to her, I'd probably reflect back on all the years and say something like, wow, this has been a really fun ride, hasn't it? It was all worth it in the end.
I love it. Life has to be like that, right?
Yeah, you have to approach it with some fun in there.
Yes, definitely. Well, I can't thank you enough, Caitlyn, for coming online and sharing your wisdom, your knowledge, and what you're doing to help and support entrepreneurs to scale and be purpose-driven in everything they're doing.
Yeah,
Thank you for your contribution to the business world. And thank you to everybody who's tuned in today. The Her Story Circle is not just a podcast. We are a social impact movement that brings you the stories and voices of women from all over the world. We share our stories to uplift you, to inspire you, to energize you, to empower you, but most importantly, to take you from where you are now to where you're trying to go. So tune in again tomorrow when I interview yet another amazing guest. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world, and bye for now. Thank you for tuning into the Her Story Circle podcast. I hope today's story has inspired you to believe in the power of our stories and the difference you can make in the world when you use your voice. I'm Gertrude Mache, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a rich tapestry of diverse perspectives. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these stories with more listeners. Follow us on social media by looking for the Her Story Circle podcast for more updates. And join us tomorrow for another episode filled with courage, resilience, and empowerment. Remember, your story matters, and together we're building a stronger, more inclusive world. Until next time, keep making her story.